For more bibia aqua shonko so at the Ghana politics avenue. So you should be as a happy and what media case we so I'll be like a bishop or subscribe to the channel on the Sunday by political trending news. We are a coach you call remember Biano once what your penny say, which are 48 for on Saturday to make a now near to Juma Akusi and Juma area. And you call political highway so no and some be any as one in so many been saying in so many been say is a Siano yet Torkonoo. Chief Justice to move our audience and they no de kwa no de ko was no de ba no de ko say no akowie akoda din asisi ano akotu justice ya ese dun ketia no maye na hi ayi na nim say NDC for ndie ke e kan obi asema ese dun ketia na ye on pekasa ba obekasa so na tese ni bu ofi pa na se on tini obi ase sisi ano waba aba be kasa se maame una oni momra una oni lo no na opeso kontokwa bia kontokwa obetimi akonya ntokwa wontumi nko Chief Justice remove and sense me by or the kwa no de kwa sisi ano ese dun ketia aba be kasa mu a enya asem keto akro o se ebe ya nka ontwa so na e kasa eto ato ensem so de ensem akonu we Madam Chief Justice Torkonoo ebetimi akodam a enya asem keto akro ebusuan for minjo bibia bramo so min so bibia so mrepi mesrem se mo ba me ya yakọ na ye de aso ene yani akwakotie eye de okafa eye asem no meda obibia ase na afei so crown.
Reasoning behind it, this is a Chief Justice who understands that this is an explicit constitutional provision and no court has the power to vary it. But for her to make a case that you change, we are Ghana near, you should be worried. And again, she's saying, as a Chief Justice, now as a Supreme Court judge. This is absolute nonsense. And you see, and I make us say, case bia mami we yatena su bia no. The new Chief Justice should be petitioned. Now, open those cases because if this mindset and all the tenor who did this, I say, clearly, just something untoward might have occasioned somewhere. But because the reasoning and understanding of the law, no, it's some way weird because you are Chief Justice, it's premised on the fact that we are your friends, justices of the Supreme Court. So when you become your friends a Chief Justice, you are an ex officio because you cannot be a Chief Justice without being your friends Justice of the Supreme Court, of the Supreme Court. So once you are a Chief Justice playing an administrative role, you are an ex officio, meaning your position as a Chief Justice is tied to the fact that we are your friends
Supreme Court
judge. And here is the case. You have been flagged, you are incompetent legally because the constitutional process has been set in motion and you have been flagged as an incompetent person, our flouted law. So and some of these things have to do with character. And as a woman, baby, you be here so obi you better discharge uttermost of integrity and the character. It is not the Chief Justice, it is the judge as a Supreme Court judge. As I don't know whether you get it. So if the whole argument is what from and you are now a disgraced chief, a disgraced Chief Justice. You have been flagged. So what bumra, one famra nyajuma, what the open away, and you as a Chief Justice. It means that integrity is battered. And if there is an institution where absolute integrity is required to engineer its activities, it is the justice of the Supreme Court. So once you've been removed as a Chief Justice, there is no way that no sensible person can make any argument to say you can come back as what? As a Supreme Court judge. Because you are a disgraced person, you be a good and you must catch us a one family and to find and the Supreme Court. I'm about telling him say dinasa mano. This thing is common sense. And sometimes you listen to people trying to make argument for some of these. Me say sometimes you see Fabu Kunutu in China just use common sense, reasonable. If you try to be reasonable, you know that some of these things are highly untenable because. For instance, my mom example, Oko teaching hospital, very often the doctors and your friend is saying CEOs. So Wako a particular hospital, Oko no CEO at Akwachi or Bash and office, our officer, or Bano for Sono, Yaksano as a CEO. Or yes, I did because or the power as a CEO and when you take advantage in a Yaksano. Some person I yachina say, yeah, some on to be CEO of the hospital. Now, by a doctor, our hospital. Because Assembly has to do with moral character. What display actually say with integrity. Go to your judicial, your friends say all the regulations in absolute and in no uncertain terms say. So when you're judge, you must espouse integrity. You must advertise integrity. You must live integrity at its uttermost. This is somebody who has been seen and who has been flagged. Yaka say one family and a constitutional provision and as a constitutional provision has been activated. And now you have become a disgraced chief justice in Aminu Obiko. You become a disgraced officer. Such an officer, no, you argue with say, Yamfa back, now be doing. Now, do you think any serious person will even ever respect the judiciary ever again? Because putting somebody who has been flagged as an incompetent person. So, some of these arguments, then I don't know, baby, the law. Now, I don't know the kind of interpretation sometimes, and I will be surprised. Will be in the Senate, and our money, yes, I near my way, or somebody should whisper to her, say, oh, good, and you see, years of dedication, there was several arguments now, or making or subjecting who to public mockery. Because don't you ever think, say, what are we, Chief Justice? You are an embodiment of the law. You understand it, and nobody should speak. No, there are other areas that people can just subject it to critical scrutiny and begin to ask questions. Your understanding of the law is flawed, and then that brings back to question. And some of it, what's not to be seen there. So anyway, and all the time, so I think it's problematic. You understand? That is why I am calling your friends that the new the Chief Justice say every single case we are talking about they all should give us a reason to go back and probe into some of this, because this thinking and this reasoning, should never be allowed to come anywhere close to be sitting at the Supreme Court bench. So I think it's very embarrassing watching all this. Then coming back to the first the last time I said we started the very moment the petition was submitted, the President Kasi established a credence, and I told you on point blank, there is no going back. This woman, whatever way be, because you see at the Supreme Court, you think because I do not know we are so special. Nipper to me change the future. There's the only institution ever to me to take your life. Or make me say Yankoku, Nansana Yasa Yamrani Yasana Kakra. But this is the only institution that can withdraw your right to life. So it is such a sensitive institution. Say we are judge now anymore. You must discharge integrity. People have, even though we are Nipper there, but you must endeavor, try your best to ensure say you will not. You find the shame public confidence in that kind of idea, man, for war. But so better now argument I will make it, and I say President need to me say or better cannot and process it's not in line with the dictate of article. Article 146, and be on no version them already and answer the version Makacho said this whole process is not a novelty. I think they see because constitution and mention Chief Justice and mention your friends head of the tribunal, whatever, and there's some mention of your friends judges at the Supreme Court. It is a categorization and the process now you remove a judge at the Supreme Court win and one you remove Chief Justice. The only difference there is just by name and by identification. And a Chief Justice, the only way we are different from a judge on the Supreme Court bench, and say you have been given extra administrative role. Chief Justice no can administrative role. And your core function is a judge. Is the reason why I be a Chief Justice sell you are just an S official. A Chief Justice is premised on the fact that you are a judge. And to win your judge, you cannot assume that assume that role. And the flag was we are incompetent. I was say okay, Munji Chief Justice, now we have a sense of shame. No reasoner will even make this argument. So I think that in some now is a bit twisted. Maybe and I can assemble na who answer for maybe they are not giving her wise counsel because this is take care at some point. I'm told to say or the Akuffo Prez.Mahama Chelsea's officer resign. So clearly if I give you an impression of somebody who is not stable. somebody who is emotionally unstable, onim the oil, and people are just engineer or push you kwaha. And I'm sure, so you see, Ebia Babia what do you know? Why inspire a lot of people? Among for be channel and why inspire more? This is not an opportunity or the good anymore, because some of the arguments she's making obviously are quite childish and they are irrelevant and good anymore. She's just subjecting herself to public ridicule because there is no court. Let me say there is no court in this land. I look at what Tenasa say, so I'll bet me arrival at a decision say the woman should go back to the Supreme Court. No court. That court will be the most unreasonable court ever. Because that particular ruling will defy reasoning, it will defy common sense, and it will defy logic. It will never happen. So she should know better and stop all this nonsense. You understand? And rather find a way, if there is a way, accept your fate, you still have life. Now the public service in the Yabamano. And I don't go or say already Supreme Court and now Supreme Court. Yeah, I know among from where by Juma, they've even more stop here more in their private enterprises. They are doing better. So is she saying that she cannot thrive and answer that because process now. President Akwa Wadrudo, it will be very almost impossible for any court to reverse it. Because don't forget that the president just exercised an executive authority. For it to be revoked, you will need a mountain of a reason, reasonable, sound, and very logical to be able to cancel it. So the only I think that is just politics. Or I dare say in free space, because they said me not here you see, because of now maybe she thought say it was going to trigger a wave of public sentiment among for the Cambiamano. But we say Galam say you should grab a kata. A Ghana for Ghana for are concerned about the sanctity of the institution called the judiciary. They don't care about any individual. And to what Nasa Braba Obonyina egu sa judiciary no hu fia sema obi an ka bi ma. Metesa one of MPP boys be got na TV zika say NDC for aye. You have Ghana for Addo. Now, I know one was some Pam Chief Justice among for No, people don't care. Because Akroma judicial no Barbara Bonne ruling as a binyan no. Ya Ghana for warn them. On social media, young people are out there advocating the needs that judiciary will restore its sanity back. People are using it as an instrument of terror. People are using it as an instrument to cow people into subjugation, intimidating people and do a whole lot of nasty stuff. And you think your friends say we're not turning on you. Young people will waste their time because Chief Justice, who cares about you? Understand? So I think that she miscalculated this whole thing. Mr. Prez.Mahama from Emra, I will be the first person to sit here and call him out. And I'm saying, since the activation of this whole process thus far, nobody, and with her surrogate, when the TV so Kenyans assemble, article was breached. Nobody. All that they say is and the floodgate has been opened. A buying for bar or no super pump chief just me said that we shouldn't change any law because there is no constitution under the sun anywhere in the world. You can check any democracy. Granted absolute tenure to anybody operating under a constitution. Always there is a window for removal. Even the president, who is the most powerful person on this land, can be removed through impeachment by parliament. So we cannot create a shield of a position. The best guarantee I will bet me the amount when it's all the papa. Now I'm making sure that you inspire public confidence and trust. That tenor safeguarded. But no law, no legislation can safeguard you if you decide to do things. Maybe you got Russia, South Korea, North Korea, other like China, no more more democracy, or more dia, and that's a different thing. But in any civilized democratic dispensation, trust me, there is no position that is ironclad. I do I think Torkonoo our hands are tied. No, we needed to save the judiciary, and for me that is it. I mean, I don't know my catcher Prez.Mahama said. You see, maybe I sanitizing the judiciary, make me focus in near Sroha. Say a call from her, Sabi. Kwasi ruling a man for a man or form hono okay be we at the lower court. Most of them travel to the high court and they quash them. Let us spend time and go to the grounds, the lower court magistrate in as a form of
circuit court.
Exactly. Ohana man for agent to man and kokwane na se for dem will as a binyansa nim obiako we akokwane ya jail 30 years in as a form. I think your sentencing regime we need to look at it holistically. Now you make sure say and ma for the mrabe juma, and the process is very transparent. Obia otikota odia sembia no qualify with that integrity and on nipa what demonstrators obey bias. And now quite a high court now. Your friends, most of them, Akuffo staff almost 100 judges before Ansano free home.
Yeah.
And some of these people are party executive, people with known party ties. Very soon, these people will rise and become Supreme Court judges with their own biases. I know that what will be the future of this judiciary. That is why I am calling on whoever becomes the Chief Justice going forward, to spend the time in not only look at the judiciary, don't sanitize it, because my culture is one institution we cannot afford to fail. Now see the dear grown-ups and near magic yensema. That's a Ghana for sorry. Obi abegano Akroma. So it's for Mami way there. Everybody should see her as a disgraced Chief Justice who has been sacked. She's no more relevant in the scheme of affairs. Let us forget her. She can go to court. And I'm saying that this particular way, court in about because this thing has no reasonable basis.
Yeah.
I will be generous granting anything. She's frustrated. Unfortunately, she's not heeding to wisdom and wise counsel. And I ogun anima say, Uncle Sungun anima say, no one about to obey. Because never oye mfakwe I think Ghana for should focus and ask the president say, dear abano beba so no, dear na ye cano, say yen sanitize your judiciary, no. Chief Justice corner doesn't mean that we are done. Then my focus is on the lower court. Yeah, unimbi. Uko lower court. Nema air cost no air time. We need to spend time and make sure that we sanitize the judiciary. And for me, that is the most important thing. I know what Chief Justice I would arrogance and that she's fighting her way back to come and sit on what bench. And I always say the impunity in the Supreme Court bench. So I think she should give us a break.
All right, for age Diana to us, so Simon, someone should tell Mr. Siedunketia to stop the thank you to. They ask for Chief Justice, leave her alone. She has no case. She is abusing the affirmative action as a woman. Oh, Ebenezer, please tell Prez.Mahama for me that if pre-bargaining is a plea bargaining, PLE, so no correct na is favor NPP and NDC criminal, then it must favor the phone stealers, plantain, goat stealers, and food items because they are also Ghanaian. I think I agree with you. If I am one person of my corner there, and then we are going to Yakuko, number Jame. I don't know what I'm doing too. I think you are making a lot of sense. It's your age, dear.
Me side dear me, no, back on, my age, abaso, back also, Obesia, I go day in top. Yes, the the courage to confront the friends of the Ghana Bar Association. Many people think that these are a esteemed group of lawyers. They should be the moral compass of the legal fraternity in this country. You may have your partisan alliances and biases, but in the discharge of your role as a moral compass of an entity, regulating the legal fraternity in this country, you must discharge that way, a partisan, neutral, and gender trust, public confidence. Somebody among Phobe who said this is a body to the idea Ghana for. But in recent times, the Ghana Bar Association has gained notoriety for being dangerously partisan bias. And the biases are quite obvious. And for me, nobody has been able to call them out. Yes, some of us have been sitting here and be calling them, say, such biases sometimes are quite nauseating. You understand? You may have your political affiliation, affinity, or whatever. But don't use the institution or the agency and as a group now to be fronting your weird views about any other political party. When this whole Chief Justice thing started, we had them making some unwitty noise and some unwitty criticisms. I know they could not even ground their criticism on anything in law. It was just mere emotional fun and I know more. I know that they Ghana for Basio, they couldn't even come back again. And the Basana, it means that you as an institution, you have no credibility. Because if you start a fight, now more grounds, now some you have to prepare and come back again. They went back. Since then, it means that it is some sort of an agenda group. A pressure group of a political party. And it's not supposed to be so. Because in some Chief Justice, almost sorry. And now William Fise. there are people who almost suffer the wrath of Article 146 in this country. Mekaye, Shroud Boss, went through the same process. Salato said, now, Kroma, or Kwana, the end there, and Sana MPP Baba Court, or Baba Power, no, or what in the court, Emma, back and forth, or by no ye, no. So Prez.Mahama, they said, no, cancel, sanitize it, you the judiciary. This is a people, what time not in the court, and in the chair, Kai, you the electoral commission MPP, Kroma say. Abu Ramadan and as a forum. Issues no be a contentious issue. They went ahead, found reason to remove that particular woman. Ghana Bar Association never uttered a word. Oh, Akroma say. President Akuffo Abra announced an investigation of 4 judges na Ghana Bar Association no more to China and no more Togo. They never issued a statement. You understand? And Prez.Mahama, yes, you have every right if something goes wrong. But there hasn't been any constitutional infraction thus far. And if you are crying foul, the question is, what is the basis? Ebasa, you may be doing it with a good of intention, but people will see you say, oh, wait a group of we are more advocating for a political party. And for me, that professional group, should not be doing that. And that's the worry. And I'm Ghana for your go and look at any news item that comes with Ghana Bar Association. Go down and read the comments. Because trust me, sir, kind of way I'm for expecting any hobium. And when a group now I'm for respecting you are dead. And that is what this particular institution is paling into insignificance if they don't know. Because all TV and I've listened to a lot of good lawyers in this country who have time to even criticize them, say it's some kind of a saboteur group, some individuals in the front of the political agenda. Because say Yatsna Koma Ghana for a man for human rights, ya abusu, ya chi a man for ya abdati a man for home. Bongo ideas, akwaketot in the field, ya kofana na jo. Mami airport campaign in us for what is a Ghana Bar Association can say Mrabi obiti Amrasoa. Now what Transikawa no pardonas and Yaman who in our castle. Now all of a sudden you turn around that. And now William Akuffo Etisano or mood distance Murina Ghana for cancer say Mrabi ba that's a man for Sasa more Casa. They will remind them. And here we are. Because of some of these things, you even be careful how to navigate. But Anam said that biases are quite obvious, they can't even hide it. So I think we see some of these things, and it's the reason why they've lost credibility. Nobody even take them serious. Even there are lawyers who are part of them, they don't even regard them anymore. You understand? And so much sober reflection, they will know they've lost their essence, and that there is the need for them to also undergo that plastic surgery now, to recapture their old glory. Because now man for GD or Ghana Bar Association as but I know it is a political movement and nobody takes it serious anymore. And then on the side of the plea bargaining, you see, we cannot be sitting here and be hiding behind constitutional phrases, jargons, and those kind of nonsense just to buy people way out. You see, Addo Ghana for Gina somebody to Prez.Mahama pa say hold these criminals accountable.
Exactly.
That term is non-negotiable. That is what people are looking at. People want justice because we feel some individuals being to me. And by the virtue of the fact of we are to me, we are Ghana for ball, Ghana for Torkonoo, and we are not going to sit down for that particular thing to continue. And the only way to stop it under this Mahama administration is to by punishing those who stole in the past. And you need to show your friends a readiness. You need to show certain combativeness, certain your friends a willingness. Be a man for who say we are really serious. Yes, plea bargain. Maybe people don't know. You see. This whole concept of plea bargain, emerged somewhere in the 19th century in America. And the reason was quite just simple, America, those in the 19th century, before it became institutionalized in common law jurisdiction, America started first. Now they do now
Nyankopon show bibia waje bread hwedwumedie we me do bibia say anom ye Ghana Politics Avenue so be show bibia say what me ne hwedwumedie abedum bebeso we ema wura mfisa wo hwe no be like e be share no subscribe but notification bell no so say ne be ya political trending news bia e ko twi ko obrema be bia no won so waje pen say woni ye be djuma na ya djuma abom me do bibia say na ha na djumadie no ebema me kwan say abusuafo na etiefo me mfa mo enso e Akroma